Everybody's attention, so we've got people we know that have other plans tonight, so we want to respect their time. So, hey, thank you so much for being here today. I'm Steve Lau. I'm the president of Impact Pickens, which was the group that we formed, really, along with you. It's not our group, it's the community group to address these issues. So, and this is, I'll let these guys introduce themselves. I'm serving as our president.
Christopher Pence, I'm the treasurer.
I'm Brian Rittenberry, and I'm the secretary.
Okay. So, and I'm gonna start us through the first part, and then Chris is gonna jump in there and take us through a lot of the information. So, all right. So our motivation. So, guys, I just want you to know, everybody that knows me, because I've been here my whole life. I was just talking. You know, all of us are Pickens High School kids, and there's other Pickens High School kids here. So. I've been involved with the high school my whole adult life, doing ministry, serving as chaplain for the basketball team. I have two kids in the system right now, a senior and a freshman, as well as Christopher has kids, Brian has kids in the system. So our motivation is born out of the love for this community and for our schools. That's my only motivation. I don't have an alternative motivation. But I can't sit on the sidelines when I see something so egregious go wrong and what's happened in our school system with our leadership. And so that's why we were motivated to step in and to try to do something. So I will say this information we have today is, we've had it for about 3 weeks. We've sorted through it. One reason we hadn't done anything before now is we kept hoping that the parties involved might go ahead and do the right thing and step down. I'll be honest with you, I think all of us have a little bit of trepidation of handling things this way, but when you refuse to do what's right, then I really don't know anything else. I've spent a lot of time praying about it, talking to people in the community I respect, and this seemed to be the only way forward because they're going to have enough pressure put on them to step down and do the right thing. And so that's kind of what brought us to today and doing this, releasing this information to the public. So we thought it'd be helpful to do a little brief timeline to get us up to today. So we'll start right here. So April 22nd, 2020, that's the day Dr. Townsend was approved as our superintendent, and that was a 3-2 vote with Finley and Steve Smith voting against. Okay, October 8th, another important date, that was a regular monthly board meeting. That is when Aaron Holland was appointed to the board to replace Joey Youngblood. January 14th, 2021, that was a regular January meeting. That is when Sue Finley became the new board chair. That Friday, January 15th, they already had a called meeting set. A called board meeting was held where the employment of Dr. Townsend was discussed in executive session. Immediately following the executive session, Attorney Phil Landrum notified Dr. Townsend that the board had made the decision to end his employment. He was notified that his email was being shut off and his car was to be turned in and office cleared by Sunday. Here's evidence. Several of us got this because we tried to email him over that weekend and his email was shut down. This is just one of those. So we know that happened. Action was taken. January 15th through 18th, and this is part of my story. I became aware of this on that Friday. I immediately began reaching out to board members and trying to say, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And I went local on Facebook. Many people called our board over the weekend saying, do not do this. Do not take this action. So that was the 15th through the 18th. That was that Friday till we got to that following Monday. They had already called a meeting for January 18th. So we note that many appeals were made to the board members during that time for them not to take this action. January 18th, 2021. Call board meeting, take note, that was a national holiday. They set the time for 3 o'clock. The agenda read, termination of superintendent's contract. After executive session, a motion was made instructing the attorney to work with Dr. Townsend to renegotiate his duties. So they had already taken action, which we'll show in that closed session on Friday, and which we've talked to Dr. Townsend at length during this time, and we have found him to be upright and honest in everything he shared. We've confirmed much of anything that he's told us. And what we know is they told him during that closed meeting that he was terminated. This was all back work. They backpedaled because there was such an outcry from the community. So on the 18th, they said they were going to renegotiate some duties. The other important thing they did is a second motion was made to appoint Tony Young as our interim superintendent. Again, both motions passed with a 3-2 vote. Finley, Smith, and Holland voting in the affirmative, Mr. Green, and Mr. Tom Dartrell voting against those. February 8th, regular monthly board meeting. This is the board meeting where I went and I told them what an egregious error this was, and I asked all three of them to step down and resign because they had violated the community trust. These guys, I got connected with them during that time because we were all going to board meetings, and so obviously we were talking about this along with others in the community. And in February and March 2021, we launched the Impact Pickens. We gathered us together. Impact Pickens was formed to hold elected officials ethically, morally, and fiscally accountable. And based on the recent actions of Finley, Smith, and Holland, Impact Pickens focused on the school board first. I mean, that was our focus. February 23rd, 2021, a call board meeting. A motion was made to officially terminate, without cause, Dr. Townsend. The motion passed 3-2 again with Finley, Smith, and Holland voting in favor. Remember, Dr. Townsend was told on January 15th that the board was terminating his employment. His office had been cleaned out and his email account had been disabled. The vote resulted in $420,000+ of our taxpayer funds being spent to pay out the remaining 2+ years of Dr. Townsend's contract. March 19th, Impact Pickens, after we looked at several options, we filed an application for recall against Steve Smith and Aaron Holland, which many of you are aware of. March 26th, March 19th was a Friday, March 26th was a Friday. Our application was approved, and Impact Pickens began organizing to collect the required signatures. On March 29th, which was probably Monday, as chairperson, I was delivered with papers where Steve Smith and Aaron Holland challenged the grounds of the recall. Their attorney is both George Weavers. Since March 19th, Impact Pickens lawyers preparing a response to the civil petition challenging the grounds. April 2nd, 2021, we began doing a series of open records requests, and April 2nd, we received the information we're going to share with you tonight. Open records documentation obtained by Impact Pickens demonstrates the behavior of board members Sue Finley, Steve Smith, and Aaron Holland, along with now Superintendent Tony Young. So just briefly, what some of this is going to show, the documentation is going to show board members along with system employees, and when it says board members, it's these three board members, along with system employees, were actively scheming to remove Dr. Townsend as early as October 2020. The only reason we don't know it was earlier than that is our request only went back to October 1st, and we'll talk more about that. Involvement included Sue Finley, Steve Smith, Aaron Holland, and Tony Young. The plan included bringing back Carlton Wilson as superintendent. The scheme includes other school system personnel. Dr. Townsend's termination was planned long before the January 15th call board meeting. Dr. Townsend's termination occurred prior to the official vote on February 23rd. Multiple ethical issues were from the people in the system of the board, but the system of the board are obvious in all this information we have. Transparency from us. I'm going to let you take over, Chris. Takes this. Hey, let me say something. This guy, we owe him a debt of gratitude. He is the one that has plowed through most of this data and put it together for us, and I'm just really grateful. Because he spent hours, I mean, we've all spent time on it, but he spent more than any of us, so I'm really grateful for his work on that. So I just want to say that.
So before I go into this slide, just to give you an idea, this is what we received. This is 350 pages worth of text messages. Now these text messages, 95% of what I'm holding in my hand is between a board member and the assistant superintendent. So when I've talked in front of the board and I say that we're doing things against SACs, this is SACs violations. Board members are not supposed to be talking with school employees. Board members are supposed to be talking with the superintendent. So if you can imagine what a superintendent and a board member is doing, talking in 350 pages worth of text, it's almost unfathomable. What we'll go over, and before I start, Dr. Townsend's in here tonight, and thank you for coming.
Yes.
And for me personally, and I think from the whole community, we owe him an apology for what was done to him. And we're going to demonstrate that tonight, because what was done to him was absolutely unbelievable. So to give you a little bit of how these text messages come to us and how the presentation is put, so the texts have been cropped to fit the slides. The texts themselves have not been altered in any way, other than being able to be fit onto the screen. Texts were screenshots that were made by Sue Finley herself from her cell phone as a result of the open records request. The open records response included texts that were out of order and missing some of the text dates. It was basically a 52-card pickup whenever we got this. It took 4.5 hours to read through them. It took another 8.5 hours to sort them, and around another 16 hours or so to get them in sequential order as best that we could. So a lot of the texts are also incomplete. So I don't have complete text. After we go through this tonight, unedited files will be available, and you will actually get both the presentation with the timeline and everything, and you will also get the documents as they were provided to us. Now, these documents were provided in page form, just like that. These are the actual documents that were given to us. I converted them into a PDF file so that we could share them.
Chris, don't forget about the numbers.
What's that?
The numbers, the page numbers.
Oh, yeah, and if you have any questions, right here in the corner, so that we can kind of keep this moving, right here in the corner, we have page numbers on each one of the slides. So if there is a question you have about a particular slide that maybe you want some clarification, if you want to write down that number, put it in your phone, do whatever, so that you can remember it, we'll come back. I am going to ask that we do have some people here that need to leave for Mardi Gras, that if y'all don't mind, we would have them ask the questions first so that they can get out of here and get Mardi Gras on time.
Can I interrupt and say real quick? When we receive these documents, and you're going to see large portions of information that have been heavily redacted, which is against Georgia law. You're allowed to redact names, faces, important numbers, identifying information, and that's it. So basically, when we filed this request, not only did we get heavily redacted information, we also, it's proven, and they essentially told us that Philip Landrum basically let Sue selectively provide what she wanted to. So nobody had any oversight of conversations and information. So what you're seeing and what's in this 300 some odd pages, that's just what Sue wanted to send.
She might not want to send some of it, but that's what it was her choice.
But that was what she wanted to do, not what anybody said. So
this is what the first open records request asked. That's officially it right up here. Down here I made it where it's a little bit more readable. But it requested text messages between October 1st, 2020 and February 23rd, 2021 with Sue Finley between one or more of the following persons: Tony Young, Philip Landrum, Steve Smith, and/or Aaron Holland. Clarification: text messages should include text conducting county business via personal or county-owned devices. One of the things with the open records request law, if you are doing county business on a personal cell phone, that information now becomes public. So when you start deleting your stuff and you don't back it up, that's a violation of the Open Records Act. So throughout these, the ones that we have specific dates on, they'll lead in with a date like this, October 19th, 2020. And I will tell you who the texts are between. There are some codes that are in there for certain individuals that we have come to figure out, and then let you know the positions of the person. So these texts are October 19th. These are going to be between, at then, board member Sue Finley and Assistant Superintendent Tony Young. Just to give you an idea, this is the same day that they had the meeting that they approved Aaron Holland as a board member. So the T, this is Tony Young. If those two knew Aaron, it would not be 4-0. So at this point, they already knew what Aaron was going to do. And they got him on the board by scheming. This is one of the texts that I can actually agree with. This is from Sue Finley. So anytime you see the flowers, that's denoting Sue Finley. And I agree. Aren't texts so much better than whispering or passing notes?
Right?
And I absolutely agree. That's the second thing I've ever agreed with Sue Finley about. The first was that they needed some leadership in the school system, and then I agreed with that. This is the second time that I've agreed with her, and it's that, yes, text messages are much better than whispering or passing notes. Tony replies, absolutely. She said, boy, that's right. He says, that extra money was due to a state audit. It had nothing to do with last month's collections. This is while they're talking back and forth during the meeting, and Amy was presenting some numbers for what they had collected for the month, and he's saying that it was an audit thing, not that they had collected more. I really thought it would be more difficult than that to get him on. I really expected to too. So she was really expecting to have a fight to get Aaron on. So that's who she is discussing right here, is Aaron. Such a shame, no credit. Tony agrees. He thought it would be harder to do also. I don't think they realize they just shot themselves in the foot.
There you go.
Wow.
So already, we're in October 19th. We already see that they have started this plan and have it in place. The only reason why we don't see it before October is because we didn't get to the information quick enough. And part of that is because we were trying to be fiscally conservative with our money, what was donated to us to get this information, because it is costly. And we were trying to pinpoint who and where and what time frame we needed to get.
Hey, just a note, guys, this kind of thing right here, such a shame, no credit. Just take note of some of these things throughout these texts, because it reveals a lot about a person.
Have you clarified who they are in the one text right there?
Yeah,
Who is they?
This is talking about
The other board members.
Tucker. And so at the time, just to go back, during this time, Donna is still on the board because this is not January yet. So Tommy has not made it on the board yet. So what they're saying is they can't believe that Donna and basically that they conned them into getting Aaron on the board. She could not believe that both Tucker Green and Donna Enos both agreed to let him come on the board before of it. So these texts, we didn't have any data on them. Like I said, we got what we got. They were screenshots. You'll see that a lot of them are chopped up. But this is discussion between Sue Finley and Aaron Holland. So at this point, this is in November. He says that I'm praying about December. Yes, thank you for reaching out about this. That would not have been good. December was when I told him I would pray about, just because I didn't want all these changes at my first official board meeting. What changes were they planning on doing at their first official board meeting, of his first official board meeting? Remember, Aaron said that he had studied the budget, knew what was going on, and there was so much evidence against Dr. Townsend that we had to get rid of him immediately. Way before immediately, in my opinion, is this being discussed. He goes on to say, and we may wait until January. In the end, I just want what's best for our staff and kids, and I don't want things to look totally divided either, if that makes sense. Changes definitely need to come, but I feel we should do them on the right time frame and moment for sure. We'll also show you who's actually behind a lot of this. You're going to be surprised. We're going to bring up some old names of people that are actually behind the scenes pulling the strings. So again, this is a text where I had to take 2 separate pages, and these pages were far apart. So we had to take these 2 pages and piece them together to figure out that they were together. And if you notice, the way that we did this is, you can see the pray here and the pray down there match up together. So that's how we knew those 2 sync together. So as of right now, I feel the same. I told Steve I would pray about December, but didn't want to commit anything. I hope you understand and respect that of me. I don't want any surprises, and certainly would not have been ready to address new chair as early as tomorrow night. So in this text, Aaron is talking about one of the things that they wanted to do was to get rid of Tucker Green. And the thought process of doing this in December was to be symbolic. What else happened in December? Dr. Wilson was terminated in December. So this was going to be a symbolic gesture to Dr. Wilson that they were going to remove Tucker during the December meeting. She responds back, okay, Steve was of the impression you were okay about tomorrow night, so I'm glad we hit this glitch. I'm not pushing for anything early, but I told Steve I would support whatever you 2 wanted. He wants to make a statement about Tucker's lack of leadership we have experienced all year. He also wants, and we lose the rest of the text thread. So I'm not sure. And like I said, it's all available for y'all tonight, so if y'all can figure out where that other text message is, you're more than welcome to dig through it. So, this is on November 3rd. Again, pointing out that this is a board member talking to the superintendent's subordinate. Our admins are very nervous that they've been asked to present to the board Friday. Just want you to know. That was Tony. Sue responds with, bless their hearts, I don't know of any reason for them to be nervous. Do you? Tony, shoot no. Lots of laughing and emojis. LOLs. Do you suppose this is his way of doing part of their eval? So you see the rest of the text up here, 2 separate pages. Tony responds, they know to be very careful what they say Friday. They are certain he is setting them up. We're going to prove the exact opposite was going on the whole time. There was no sitting up on his side. It was definitely on their side. Sue goes on to say the minute they start talking, he'll start scratching his head. Tony laughs about it. Why would he be doing that? Is he going to pull a Shriver and bring a buddy in from South Georgia? Hang on. From South Georgia, you see the rest of the text up here. Again, I didn't chop these up. This is how it was delivered. I believe, so they do talk in some code as far as who people are. We tried to figure out if E was standing for somebody. We believe that's just a mistext and it was supposed to be he. We couldn't figure out an E in the school system. So he knows this way all the board will hear are the positives. Nobody will say anything negative for sure. Sue responds, if he is setting them up, it's only to make himself look better, something else to put on the list, and Tony agrees. The one down here on the bottom, I don't think that has anything, yep, I'm sorry, it does. So I didn't know anything about it. I've told him before not to do that to them. We're assuming this has to do with to staff for some reason. So I have this text here that's in black. I have the rest of it on another slide that was sent to us in that way. So I just copied it. We figured out that the next slide met up with what here is in black. So I'll have to go, maybe I don't have that one. Some of them we do have, so this one we don't. But this is the main thing to really pay attention to, and this is one of the things whenever I started reading this stuff, it kind of made me sick to my stomach. So they are discussing Dr. Townsend at this time. He has no idea the underground network we have. Please tell them to praise him to the skies. He will think they are wonderful. It will ensure a good evaluation for them, and it won't change our thoughts about them or him. We know how things are. We're working as fast as we can to correct the situation.
Well, so are we.
Yeah.
Guys, this is a major problem. There's two major problems here. Number one, clearly there's other people in the system involved. Number two, this grieves me. This is the leader of our school system telling people to openly praise somebody to their face while you're working behind the scenes to stab them in the back. It disgusts me. And that's what we've got. So please pay attention to this, because this slide is going to become important later. This is the thing that revealed to us, which we already suspected, but clearly there were other people in the system involved. And all the time Chris is sharing this, remember, this is the assistant superintendent. He's obviously going behind the back of the superintendent, communicating with admins and other key personnel in the system.
And please also remember that this is the lighter side of the rest of the information you're going to get tonight.
Really?
I don't want to get mad. I'm
So-
already mad.
Tony responds. So he has talked, at this point, he's responding back to her what he has told everybody that reports to Dr. Townsend. I told them to play his game. The board knows what's really happening. So this is December. We don't have specific dates. We pieced it together because of what they're talking about at the time, what's going on in the school system, what the board is doing, and then some of the messages lead you to believe when the time frame is. Again, it's between Sue Finley and Assistant Superintendent Tony Young. So couldn't Chad just print out her computer activity? Of course, neither Rick Townsend, so anytime you see RT, that is referencing Rick Townsend, nor T. T is representative of Tucker Green. So neither Rick Townsend nor Tucker Green will ask for it. If I ask for it, he might. She says day, I believe that means say. I was targeting her in some way. He would say day to day. She responds back true, and he would be right. Tony says it's only a couple of weeks until January, proving that even as far back as in December, they've already known what's in place. And she says, I know, but I'm so excited, I hate to wait. As for Tommy, I hate to tell too much for fear he will tell Tucker or Rick Townsend. So at this point, you have board members going behind other board members, talking to staff, and not informing other board members of what they are doing. So just in reference, I shared all this with Dr. Townsend. We feel like they're probably talking about his wife at this point. And you'll see later on how they talk about his wife, and I think it's shameful.
Talking about Dr. Townsend's wife?
Yes.
Yes, she works in the system.
So she works in the school system, and you'll see how they talk about her and that they were planning on getting rid of her too.
This is a Christian woman.
The issue is, she didn't know where Dr. Townsend's wife worked, and I believe that's why she's asking for Chad. We believe Chad to be Chad Platt at the junior high school, and that's not where she worked.
Just tell me Rick has seen this before tonight.
Yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
yes.
He was very helpful in putting some of this, helping us get some of the dates and stuff right.
I'm sorry that he had to.
I am too.
It's embarrassing.
So continuing on, I've talked to Aaron and Steve. We're cool. See you soon. Tony responds back, awesome. This is where we get some more school system employees into the thing. Sue says, is Christy going to be available to talk to Aaron this afternoon? Christy, of course, being Christy Bone, the Director of Special Ed. Tony says, yes, she is ready. Sue responds back, even without posting a notice, if Aaron is ready, could we let Rick Townsend know it's time to start packing his bag?
There you go.
December,
Really?
still talking to a school system employee.
And guys, note too, every time this happens, this is telling a school board member, Aaron, they're setting up a conversation with one of Dr. Townsend's subordinates without him knowing it. That is all unethical and illegal. It's unethical. You can't do that.
So just to lay this out, Dr. Townsend knew of none of this. None of these conversations that you see tonight did he ever know about, and he was the superintendent. If Aaron will go along, Phil can start negotiating. So at this point, we've brought in the county or the school board's attorney also. He responds back, yep. She says that I can only stay until about 1:50, but there's no doubt in anyone's mind as to what my vote is. Tony says, I hope Aaron reaches out to Christy. She responds back, me too. I hope you know how hard it is for me to stand back and let events play out. She was very eager to let Dr. Townsend go, and we'll show why she was so eager to get him out of there. He comes back, he's talking about his supervisor, me too. I can't wait to hear Aaron's response to this lie.
So that's our assistant superintendent that can't even spell here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
He taught me in college.
Here, so he was going to be here.
Here.
Are you going to suggest he talk to her right after lunch? He responds back, I can. I'm trying to get Christy to come over for lunch. Again, more celebratory woohoo. She has to pick up my grandson at 2, but I can come back. In fact, I would be glad to come back. There's lots of winky emojis and smiley emojis and everything else that goes throughout this. This is the first text that we're going to show tonight that shows some redaction. We'll go through some more that are very heavily redacted. When it comes to redaction, the only things that they're supposed to redact is anything that identifies somebody. So you can put it together why it's so heavily redacted.
And Chris, in this case, it would be protecting the student. It shouldn't be any school personnel's names, because we've already got those. They should only redact, like if it's a court case or a name involved with that, that's all.
Chris, do we find out who redacted this? Was it Phil Landrum or was it Sue Phil in which you provided these documents?
We believe Landrum redacted everything. So after the redaction, which leads me to believe it's not a school, a child in school, and it's not identifiable information, is that she comes back with a side, well, Aaron still needs to talk to Christy. So I don't know what that text said. I don't think it should have been redacted that heavily. So now he's talking about I'm free now. Again, in December.
December 3rd, right?
So, I can't remember where.
I
we're
think
at.
it's December 3rd was the.
So I explained the buyout negotiations to Aaron weeks ago.
Why is our assistant superintendent talking to Aaron Holland weeks ago about the buyout for our superintendent? There's only one reason, because it was planned.
Now, I can't prove it, but I did have a conversation with Sue, and she plainly and very clearly told me that, because I asked her how we were gonna pay for this. We had the same, we all had the same thing to say that all of you did. If we have this extra money laying around, then we've been overpaying to start with.
Amen.
And she said, well, Tony and I have went over this several times prior to this decision. Those were her words to me.
So we get back to Sue. Sue says, I know I did. Steve did. Cy. Aaron still wants to wait until January, but says he has lost all confidence in Rick Townsend and is on board with us. I told him if he decided to back out, this is very important. I told him if he decides to back out, I was going to throw the grenade.
So now we have blackmail?
I will not have the community think I knew he did something illegal and didn't. This is the one sheet that we got. This is an additional sheet that we found later throughout there, and we figured out where it went. It was the continuation of this. So you'll see the beginning of this starts the same way, goes to grenade. She won't have the community think that she hid something illegal and didn't do anything about it. That got his attention. Come on January. My question is, what grenade to who? Is she still talking to Aaron, and does she have something on Aaron that she's holding over that he doesn't want out in the public? So is she coaxing him into that vote? It's basically a blackmail. This is December 10th. Again, Sue Finley, Tony Young. Are you available for a quick phone call? He said, can I text you when I get out of the meeting? She said, sure. I may be in the shower, then heading to pick up Miles. I'll text instead. Thank you. Steve said a few days ago you were feeling discouraged. Steve and I are going to try to be good until January meeting, so Aaron has no reason not to vote for us.
More deception.
So the voting for us is she was wanting her to be chairman of the board and Steve to be vice chair. You'll find out later that that didn't happen. Made her a little mad. Once we are in leadership position, we can be more forceful. Again, so this text, it was sent like this. Later on in the pile of papers, we find this, which is a continuation of where we stopped off there. So we'll start off here at, we can be more forceful. As for tonight, I called Wallace. She's talking about Chris Wallace a few days ago to verify that he is not recommending football coach for renewal. Steve and I wanted to make sure because we don't trust. Anyway, if we are given a reason or a different story on the PAR, we will calmly ask Wallace to come in, etc. This will be evidence of lying in front of everyone. If PAR is accurate, no problem. After January board meeting, if two newbies still won't pull the trigger, Steve and I, after having Phil review our statement for potholes, plan to go to Dan Pool and pull out the big guns so things may appear calm and uneventful tonight, but we have a plan. Don't give up. So this is her trying to encourage Tony to not worry, that the plan's still going as planned. They're just holding off on it because they're waiting for Tommy to come on board because at this point they still feel that Tommy is going to be on their side. So this is December 14th. Again, Sue Finley, Tony Young. So Tony says, yep, hopefully Aaron is ready to negotiate. I'm not sure what they're negotiating about. She answers back, stay tuned, Aaron may be on board. Tony says, wow, something changed, and she asked him to talk. We could assume from the other slides of what they may have been talking to Aaron about. She answers again, Steve just called me, he talked to Aaron, again heavily redacted. Says he has lost all confidence in RT, doesn't want to do anything until January because of Donna, because they know right now that she's still on the board. They want to kind of wait. They're hoping to do a 4-1 vote is what they're really hoping for. Steve explained that Phil could, and again, this was sent to us like this, so we got through it, found this one. Steve explained that Phil could start negotiations if A is referring back to Aaron, is on board. S is Steve, so Steve said that sounded like fresh information to Aaron. I tried to call Aaron, but no answer. Maybe Merry Christmas to us. And the to us is her and Tony. So at this point, she's hoping for a Merry Christmas, that they will get Dr. Townsend out and get Tony in as interim. Now that is not the final plan. So this is, they like to text late at night for some reason.
Are they together like a couple?
That's what I was wondering too.
This is late at night between December 31st and January 1st, 2021. This is Sue Finley and Assistant Superintendent Tony Young. So this is 10:30 at night. It goes into first thing Friday, January 1st. So Tony says that he feels so bad for the staff. She says, do you think we could talk Stacy into putting Carlton's nameplate on the door as Rick Townsend comes in on Monday?
There you go.
Oh,
Now this is our first idea of what the original plan was in place. And this was to get Carlton Wilson back.
As much effort as they have put into this, she must imagine that if it was truly for our
Focus-
kids and stuff.
focus
I mean,
on the great one.
I mean, it's,
Now, keep in mind,
uh,
and this is per Ms. Joanna Youngblood, that Carlton's non-disclosure agreement said very clearly that Carlton Wilson was no longer allowed to work for Pickens County Schools ever again.
Good, he doesn't need
That was
to.
put into his non-disclosure agreement.
That he
However, all it takes to change that retroactively is a 3-2 board vote. And they have that.
So this brings in another person. This is talking about Stacy Gillen at this time, is who she's referred to as Stacy. Tony responds back that he would love to with a laughing emoji. Sue comes back with, I still have a screenshot of the ad on our website when we were advertising for a new super. I could post it on the Facebook. You can see the,
Vindictiveness.
I mean, it's just disgusting how they were talking about our superintendent. Tony agreed that that would be perfect for her to do that. The funny thing is, she responds, is this unrealistic or illegal reply to Rick Townsend?
She's not even know. They're so arrogant.
Read that last word again. Here we go.
No.
It wasn't clicking. And we didn't get the rest of those texts, so I don't know. It could be in there. It's just very hard finding all this stuff.
Is there any recourse to get the ones that they left out?
yeah, why was she allowed?
Just give us time and we'll get to
We
the
will,
end.
we will get to the end. I'll explain.
Sorry.
A lot of this stuff
It's
will
good
be explained
question.
either further on through additional open records requests that we got or that we sent, and the responses that we got back, and you'll see what the responses are. So January 6th, now we see some text messages coming from Sue Finley and Steve Smith. So up here, I'm not sure what the first part of it was, but he's ha-ha. She responds back to him. Aaron said he has either upper respiratory infection or strep. We'll call Tommy early next week to let him know where we are headed. So they're trying to talk to Tommy at this time and let him know where they need to go forward with getting rid of Dr. Townsend. He said he thinks that Tommy has heard enough from the teachers that the vote may be 4-1 instead of 3-2. Very important. I'm just glad he mentioned 3-2 as a given. They are not supposed to be doing votes out of open session. They are already planning the vote out.
So that's January 6th. They met on January 15th in that called board meeting after she was made chair on January 14th.
January 11th, Sue Finley, and again, she is still a board member. He is still the assistant superintendent. So this is Sue Finley talking to Tony. That will give us time to research hybrid model. In actuality, that will give you time as interim. Why on January 11th is she calling him, already telling him that he'll be the interim? To decide what you want to do and not have to backtrack. Now we see our real player. I also called CW. CW is?
Carlton Wilson.
Carlton Wilson. This AM to make sure he knew you were going to be interim to allow Aaron and Tommy time to interview him. So before they made Carlton Wilson the superintendent, they wanted to appear to have time for Tommy and Aaron to talk to him before they made him the superintendent. I assured him this was not a change in our ultimate goal, just didn't want to blindside him with it. So she wanted to keep him up to date, and she didn't want him thinking that they were backtracking on making him the superintendent by making Tony the interim. She's basically telling him to bide his time and Carlton will be back. Tony says, yeah, what a teacher read to me was very clear. It says teachers will report to the building on Monday. This is January 11th. Tony, assistant superintendent. Assistant superintendent is with Phil, the county attorney, and I met with Amy. She is getting a buyout number ready for the board.
That's Amy, the CFO. Now, guys, this is a major problem. This is our school board attorney. He is the board attorney. That's the board as a whole.
He's the
He
employee.
is going with the assistant superintendent to talk to the CFO about a buyout for our superintendent. This is a major problem, and he is a major problem.
So in conversations with Dr. Townsend, at no time did he know that, was he informed by any of the staff or from the county attorney that any of this was going on. I can assure you that when he was terminated, the exact time he was terminated, not when they say he was terminated, not February 25th, we're talking about January 15th, when he was actually terminated. He did not know he was getting terminated that night. And she responds back that that's great news, and she's left a message. January 12th, we're still not to the board meeting. Remember, first board meeting was on January 14th. That's when Sue was made the chair. And Tommy Gartrell, she gets a little mad, but he gets made vice chair. So this is before all of this, and this is Sue and Steve Smith. So two board members discussing. She's celebratory. 4 more days, 4 more days, 4 more days. What happens in 4 more days? Steve responds back, exactly. He responds back with an emoji that says, great minds think about alike. They're talking about somebody's employment, and Sue again comes back with a bunch of laughing emojis. This is how we figured out the date. They stand right here on the bottom, Tuesday, January 12th, 2021. So January 12, 2021, they already are talking about that in 4 days, it's a foregone conclusion that they're going to be getting rid of Dr. Townsend.
So that would be Saturday the 16th after their meeting on the 15th when they really terminated him.
So, I don't want any presentations. He didn't want any presentations. She agreed. She said, Phil sent me the agenda. When I told Tony what it said, why is she telling Tony what it said? He said it's called a meeting, not a work session, so no presentations. Rick Townsend has told principals and chiefs they have to be there. This is very important. Tony says that's just for protection, so he doesn't have to answer any questions. After I tell Rick Townsend tomorrow, since, again, we're going from this type of style to what she sent next, and we found this, and again, this one was even harder to piece together. It's further in the material on 2 separate pages. You can tell that it's 2 separate pages because you can see the bottom where it was sent through the email on the top of this one, and this one was just thrown in there somewhere in the middle. So January 12th, it's at 9:15 p.m. Me is Sue Finley. Phil sent me the agenda. When I told Tony what it said, he said it is called meeting, not a work session, so no presentations. Rick Townsend has told principals and chiefs they have to be there. Tony says that's just for protection, so he doesn't have to answer questions. After I tell Rick Townsend tomorrow that since called meeting, I'm going to blame on Phil, so hopefully won't catch on.
So deception to Dr. Townsend about what's really going to happen on Friday.
So purposely lying to the superintendent so that he doesn't know that he's about to get fired that night. Instead of work session, no presentations, I'm going to call Chris Wallace and Corey Thompson to tell them it was a misunderstanding and that they don't even need to be there. This is a problem. This is a SACS problem. She's calling school personnel, principals, to tell them behind the superintendent's back not to show up because they're not going to be needed. Why are they not going to be needed? Because they're planning on firing.
And I did call Corey Thompson, by the way, and ask him verbatim, did this play out exactly as this text message said? And Dr. Townsend called him and told him he did not have to come to that meeting. And Corey Thompson, although he did not speak with Sue Finley, she did call and leave a voicemail on his phone to speak with him. So she's doing everything that she says she's going to do.
And guys, we've talked to Dr. Townsend enough. They presented to him this meeting was going to be something totally different than what it was going up to that Friday. She deceived him the whole time until they got to that Friday.
So finishing it out, I want to know if Rick Townsend does not let them know, then he's going to really have a problem. Still not board chair, still just board member. So at this point, this is January 14th, so this is after the board meeting. So she has been newly appointed as a chairperson, and she is speaking about the board meeting that night. So she's a little bit unhappy about what happens.
Just one.
Yes.
She has been on board long enough to have sat through an actual school board member training. So is that not correct? So she knows.
Yes.
So
She knows the
You have to do it before you take the seat.
Thank
So
you.
she has to explain the whole thing.
So there is,
She knows she's breaking the rules.
in everything that if you have a flash drive, and I told the media tonight, and I told some people that had contacted me, if you have a flash drive, I'll give you all this. I also have email will be given to you the school board code of conduct and code of ethics. So that comes from the state board, what your ethics should look like. I also have the ethics as far as school teachers goes, and you have to remember 3 of these people hold certificates with the state of Georgia as a teacher. Sue Finley, Tony Young, and Aaron Holland, all 3 are certified as teachers. They report to the PSC. They all have agreed to this ethical standards. They have violated ethical standards that are set forth in the PSC. And we'll go further into that. We do do not have the beginning of the text, but we thought that the rest of the text still stood on its own, so I believe she's at some point saying thank you for your help. I also appreciated the applause from the staff. She's talking about whenever she got made board chair. She said, that was sweet. I was floored when Tucker voted for me. I never expected 5-0 vote. I told him I appreciated him being gracious about it, although I really hate the mess with Steve. So this is where she starts getting unhappy. She did not like the fact that they did not vote Steve Smith as the vice chair as she had planned. I told those other 3 guys I wish they would have told me what they were going to do so that Steve wasn't left hanging. I told each of them what I planned to do, and they gave me no feedback. The Queen.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
No, I don't
so
think-
guys, as bad as that is, this is a fundamental problem because you know what? It's what I've said. She is a public servant. She is a servant to the people.
Right.
But that's,
I told her before she worked for us.
God first,
So
people
the
second.
Queen is not happy. I told Tommy that he was played tonight. Once Tommy was voted in, Steve said Tucker looked him in the eye and grinned from ear to ear. Oh well, they'll figure him out eventually. We're headed in the right direction. I called them both and told them that after their apparent change of heart tonight, I wanted to make sure they were still on board for tomorrow's decision. When did I say this text was from?
14.
Well before they ever took a vote to dismiss Dr. Townsend. She wants to guarantee that they are already there. Again, she has been asking for this since October. They say they are. Tommy says he wants to understand the special education bus issue better before he commits. I assured him it would not be a problem. We will bring Tony in to explain and answer questions. Christy has explained everything to him. So already Christy Bone has been talking to Aaron and explaining everything to him, convincing him that Dr. Townsend has to leave. We do know the specifics about that. We can't comment on it. Or we're pretty sure of the specifics on the special education bus issue. There is not a problem with that.
That's why you don't have Tommy come on board with them. They didn't have a reason to dismiss him.
So she says, do you think we should bring Tony in before we ask Dr. Townsend to leave the room or after? So she just wants to know how they need to do that. So this is between January 11th and 15th, so this is coming up to the meeting. We noticed that time frame just from the subject matter in the text messages. So at this point, they are both still board members. We're going back to where she's just a board member. She's not a chairperson. So she says that I talked to Tony and will call Rick Townsend in the morning. Just don't want to tip my hand about Friday. Tony told me how to say it. So Tony is telling her what she needs to say so that Rick Townsend doesn't know what's about to happen to him on that Friday night.
So just to be clear, our assistant superintendent is totally engaged and complicit in getting rid of our superintendent.
At this point, she says, or he says, awesome, so he's completely on board. So chairperson to superintendent or assistant superintendent, he says, I would just feel bad for Carlton. She says, me too. It would just kill me to tell him, if there's someone in the office you could transfer some duties to without the title. I can't think of anyone. And he says, yes, I have some good chiefs. Remember, what did Tony say, or what did they say Tony said during his interview for superintendent? That his position wasn't needed. Right? And that's how they were going to save money. Okay. Just making sure everybody else remembered that one.
So this is in the aftermath of what they did on
So
Friday.
this is January 16th. This is 11 o'clock in the morning. Sonny Crocker has sent me 6 Facebook messages. According to him, we've set our county back 20 years by getting rid of this forward-looking leader. We set him up to fail, and he knows exactly why we did this. She doesn't lie to I, because she feels like she's running everything. His Facebook account, but I hear Tucker's voice, so she believes he's getting information from Tucker. This is part of it that Greg Long had a little bit of a problem with, and you'll see why. I talked to Greg Long last night. He's not happy, of course, but we had a calm, rational, congenial conversation. Yep, I was surprised too. Of course, Greg is concerned that the new ag facility will drop through the cracks. She believes that that's the only thing that is a concern to him, not the $420,000. She thinks only the ag center. So she feels like if the sooner you, speaking to Tony, so the sooner Tony and Carlton can reassure him, the better relationship and support you will have. So she believes if they go to Greg Long and say, hey, look, we're going to build this ag center, don't worry about that. If Carlton comes in and Tony's in, everything's going to be good and you don't have anything to worry about. Your ag center will be put up. She goes, I'm going to share that, or this is Tony talking to Sue. This is January 16th. I'm going to share an idea that I don't like. Remember, he was very reluctant. I don't like, but it may be a lifeline for you guys. And I'm not advocating for this. Leave me a superintendent on 30-day rolling contract. Eliminate the assistant super position until the money is made back on the buyout. This is just between me and you. I don't want Carlton to know, but it will help the board if this gets too bad. Why do they not want Carlton to know? We're probably going to find that out. She says, okay, I'll start a rough draft. He says, that sounds good. She says she's still waiting to hear back from Steve and Aaron. Talked to Tommy. He was very unhappy with how last night went. Thought we should have given Rick Townsend and Tommy more time. Again, it was cut off. We found this further back. We pieced these two together to figure out that it was a previous slide from here to here. More time. However, he absolutely loved the press release. Feels like his concern about the money were heard, and he believes that this will shut people up, in quotation marks. I wouldn't be surprised if he votes to dismiss Rick Townsend on Monday. Again, this was just showing that we did have at least part of this. This is a different sheet. So it does continue from this one that we received.
Who is that? Who was that?
On to this one. This is
Steve? That was Steve?
no. This is between
This is Tony and
Tony and
Sue.
Sue. But who's talking?
This is
The
Sue.
black is Sue.
This is
Okay,
all Sue.
I got you. Who are they talking about?
Continuation of Sue. Who are they talking about? Right here, Tommy. Tommy is Tommy Gartrell.
Okay, okay.
That he also absolutely loved the press release, and he feels his concerns about the money, and he believes that that would shut people up and people would stop complaining. So after that, she says, is it time for me to call Carlton and tell him we still want him, but we're going, and I'm just assuming because of how this is chopped up, it looks like, but we're going to wait a few months.
Which is rapidly approaching.
So Tony says, now Steve, he may not be as happy. Tommy is going to talk to Tucker about the press release. The original press release, I don't believe actually got out officially. It did get out unofficially. She says, yeah, Steve is a question mark in my mind. He wants Carlton now, which I do too, but you have to keep the long-range goal in mind. Oh well. Still, reassuring them, hey, steadfast, we're going to keep on going with our whole plan. Tucker isn't going to like the press release. I hate the Carlton part, but he will understand.
So guys, clearly Carlton is involved in this whole thing with them all along. They're talking to him the whole time about this plan.
And we don't need somebody like that back in charge of our
No,
school
ma'am,
system.
we don't.
So this is Sue. We believe in this text that she is talking about Tucker in the beginning. She says, I know he will never like anything we do. That's not his idea. I can't live with that. I really dread calling Carlton. I know he will be gracious, but it still breaks my heart. I still haven't heard from Steve. I'm going to call him again. He sent me a pic a while ago of his grandson making pizza, so I think I am taking the back seat. The main thing here is they're still so dreading calling Carlton, telling him we're not going to make him superintendent.
Keep in mind, this is when everything's blown up on them. Everybody's calling everybody, because this is the day after.
Y'all made this text.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody in this room is who made this text right here. So this is board chairperson. This is January 29th, Sue Finley, and at this point, interim superintendent Tony Young is not officially the superintendent yet. So yeah, I was reading a bit on Facebook last night, and someone named Brian Jones. I'm going to say she missed that. I'm going to say
It's
it's
this Brian.
probably.
I'll proudly own that.
Said that he assured everyone that he and others were arranging the board recall. So I just closed out Facebook. This is very important. What I hate about all of this is that I want to be on the board at least for one more term to support you. Hopefully, this mess will fade in 4 years. She's hoping that everybody in this room, everybody watching, everybody forget about this. Don't worry about that $420,000. Don't worry about us ruining somebody's reputation. Don't worry about all that.
It's actually a very careless statement that she made. Her statement to me, and again, this was not a text message, but by phone, was that she would vote how she pleased, and if we didn't like it, we could fire her in 4 years.
Right.
So she was going to do as she pleased.
So these are some other texts. We don't have dates on these, but we felt that they were important. Some of them show how Assistant Superintendent Tony Young and Board Member Sue Finley talked about Dr. Townsend and his wife. And then some show the over-redaction of the content of the text. You can probably fill in what they're what is over-redacted and why. So in this one, she says strap. This is Tony. So this side is Tony. It says yep. Insert stronger words. She says I already did. Laughing emoji. I was planning on bringing up T's, this is talking about Tucker's residency issue once my tiara was fully.
My tiara.
So once she is crowned, she is going to try to get Tucker off the board because she feels that since he's working, I don't know if y'all knew this, but at that time, Tucker was traveling back and forth between Pickens County and South Carolina working. And she was going to try to get him off of the board because of his residency. He says, I think he will have that fixed by then, unfortunately. And she responds back to Tony with, I'm afraid so. I know what we assume she's going to finish that off with is, at that time, he was actually in the midst of purchasing a house beside his parents, which would have cleared up any confusion over his residency.
Oh my gosh.
She's so arrogant.
So, Tony, he shows no interest in even talking about it right now. Is Aaron going to reach out to the super? Sue says, if I throw these numbers at him, it will implicate you. She's worried about implicating Tony into something, but we won't have to worry about that much longer. Why won't we have to worry about that much longer? Because by then, Tony will be the superintendent. So to give you an idea of what we believe they are talking about here, and then she continues on, yes, later today, Aaron was preparing for training later today. Maybe that's why he is waiting today. We believe this is during his board training. So what she doesn't want known is that Tony is supplying her information behind the superintendent's back, but she wants to try to get this information out without implicating Tony in any of the underhanded things that he is doing. But she still wants to make this point at this time of these numbers to Dr. Townsend. So this one we included not a whole bunch in any of this, except for up here at the top, one of them's chopped off, it says, "Be chairman," and I think she's talking about herself, and she's got a little happy emoji. She thinks it's really funny. My issue is that on October 8th, whatever they had to say, whatever she had to say right here, why is all of that redacted? I don't know why it's not clear.
Trying to just hit the space bar.
If you can just keep that and hit that. She goes into, can you think of any way I can bring out Dr. Townsend and Tucker's disassembling about too low tax rate without jeopardizing Tony, Aaron, or Steve? If Dr. Townsend wants to, you can ask him the question. What we believe this is talking about is that he was actually wanting to drop our tax rate. He was going to be able to fund the school system cheaper. They didn't want that.
Oh my gosh.
She wanted to manipulate it.
Yeah.
So Tony responds back of how she should start with this. He wants her to try to make Dr. Townsend look bad in front of the public. So he says, I'd start with a simple question such as, how much of our fund balance will be used in this budget? A general question like that would work, but it will stir up people who will question using fund balance in these uncertain times. I can assure you that if Dr. Townsend was suggesting this, he had looked at it, he had looked at the numbers, and he knew where he could get the money. What's not known is the school system has gotten a ton of federal money this year. A ton. Again, October 4th, so much redaction. So all we can read is, like you to review a short document for me. If it's not too inconvenient, thank you. Redacted. She says, thanks, I may not get to it until tomorrow. Again, another one, completely redacted. So here, this is going back. Because we don't have a date on this, I can only tell you I can't tell you a specific date, but we know this is when Aaron's coming on. She says, perfect, or per Tucker, Aaron is a 4.0. Tony says, wow, he can't believe that they're actually going to go along with this plan. He can't believe that they're
It's
going
so
to be able to
easy.
do their plan just as they want it.
Who was in charge of nominating?
Aaron will be perfect. He goes on to say in this one was kind of disgusting to me because they're talking about people with COVID. So I have an answer to your question, call me when convenient. He's about to close the district based on numbers. We're talking about numbers of COVID positive cases. And her first response is that it's hilarious to her. She assumes that that's per DPHS recommendations. We must have had quite a spike to hit 20%. Here is the rest of it. Quickly, meow. You know what she's trying to say there. That what she's calling, what she's referring to Dr. Townsend. Tony laughs at it. He said, this is where it starts getting a little disgusting between them two. You did it, the teachers will be grateful. No, we did it. I couldn't have done it without your coaching. No, you accomplished that one. I appreciate your support more than you know.
They can write each other
I'm
letters.
sorry, I'm adding a little reflection to that.
No.
So this is her talking to Tony, and she gets a little mad about her position on the board at the time. She says, I didn't sign on to sit at a table once a month and raise my hand during voting. He says, amen. She says, Aaron's reply to me, I don't know if we should do a vote for new board chair before January just because of all the new changes. I fully support having a vote on the board chair in January because that includes Tommy and won't bring more questions into everything going on. you already know that I know there would be some accountability on this issue and that he couldn't sweep it under the rug. Signed, not as stupid as Tucker thinks. So what this is talking about here is Aaron was a little nervous because of him just coming on to the board, that he didn't want to start doing all this stuff. He did not want to actively remove Tucker Green as the chairman. That's what she was wanting, again, as a symbolic gesture to Carlton Wilson in December, as that they would be removing him. There was some back and forth. Aaron had some issues with it and backed out of it. So he says, he laughs out loud, good point. She says, sorry about the call. I'm talking to Tommy Gartrell, and he wanted your phone number. Guess whose house he is up for sale? This kind of shows them making fun of people that they represent. And she's talking about Lee Williams here, and he laughs at it. Then she responds, you only owned the house for 8 years. Wouldn't you like to almost double your money in 8 years? And he replies with 4 things. I mean, just as far as me, that's just not how, as a public official, you talk about people that are literally paying their salary.
They're narcissists.
We believe this is during the time that possibly Dr. Townsend's getting fired. Tony says, he's sitting there a long time, LOL. And she's laughing about it. Make his wife come in and help with some, so we get at least some work out of her before they leave.
Oh my gosh.
I guess it's appropriate that he doesn't trust his faculty because they certainly don't trust him. Unfortunately, in talking with Dr. Townsend, he trusted his faculty and staff way too much. Way too much.
Obviously, yeah.
She says, seems only fair. Tony responds back, from what I hear, she has not done anything, and he may need to correct me here. She was actually hired on as a virtual teacher. If you download this tonight, you'll see where they talk about her salary. Salaries are not set by anybody other than mandate. Qualifications, length of service, education, all of that stuff says what your pay is going to be. The school system doesn't have a choice in that. You're more than welcome to go to the school system and compare her pay rate and see the chart, and it will line up of what they pay her. So she says, I wish there were some way we could let them know that we know that. Right here, we believe that the C is, again, talking back to Carlton. So Carlton liked my idea about the online notebook. He's talking back and forth with Carlton, making sure what he's doing is in line with what Carlton wants done. Or what she's saying. Tony says, I definitely will on the heads up. I bet Carlton is excited. She says that she can't wait. He says, me neither. She says, me neither. Good things will happen, and we'll have fun getting them done. Remember, it's fun to absolutely destroy somebody.
There's not a
in the public, spread rumors about him, absolutely slander this man, take away his job, but it's going to be fun. And it's also going to be fun to spend your money.
What date are we on now?
On this particular one, I don't know. This is the complete text, so I don't know.
Okay.
Like I said, they're missing a lot of stuff. They didn't want out there. This is back to January 4th. Tony says, well, the super just told me you guys are having a workshop on Friday after the board meeting. Word gets out around fast. They actually did not want Dr. Townsend knowing that they were having that meeting on Friday. She responds back, probably Tucker, but it doesn't matter. I just don't want Martha to publish it until I talk to Phil. Why wouldn't she want something published? Because it gives you the opportunity to ask to speak at the meeting and for you to make time to go to that meeting. They wanted to do this meeting this evening. Did Rick Townsend tell you he may close school completely until MLK Day? This is one of the things that, basically the only thing that I can find that they really disliked about Dr. Townsend is that he would take data from multiple sources to make his decision. They felt like whatever Tony and the Queen said, that that's what he should do, and that he should just be their subject. So what he's doing is he's struggling with it right now. He is meeting with the principals to get them to help him decide, and I believe that everybody in here would agree that you want a superintendent that's working and believes in his underlings to give him the information that he needs to actually make an informed decision before he just makes one willy-nilly. In the text messages that are in here, you'll see how much she fought to keep the school closed down. She wouldn't have opened this school this year at all if it was up to her. The only reason why we're back in school is the man that's sitting out here that lost his job. Because he used education and numbers and facts to base when we were in school and when we were out.
Thank you.
January 16th, this is Sue. I really made Tucker mad last night. He just refuses to see the parallels, talking about getting rid of Dr. Wilson and getting rid of Dr. Townsend. And he refuses to believe that remember, she always loves this it's always about her. We wanted him to be successful. We proved all the way back into October she didn't want him to be successful. According to Sonny Proctor, sounds like Tucker, that we didn't give him enough time and set him up to fail. I was tempted to tell him that I wouldn't dream of telling him how to run his hospital. Yes, we use his tax dollars, but my hospitals use my insurance premiums. She does not feel that just because we pay her tax money that she should be held accountable to us at all. That's what that tells me. So this is, threw this one in. I like to throw in a little funny. This is just a little sickening stuff. So Tony says they are thrilled. Sue says, great, that's why you are the grand poobah. He says, and you are the Madam Chair. And she says, nah, I'm just your cheerleader. And he says, that feeling is mutual.
Aww.
So sweet. So, that's the basic of the worst text. Believe me, there's not a whole lot of good texts that are in here. But we did want to make this as short as we could, and I did run over. I promised y'all 6 o'clock, and we went a little over. This is going into the open records request and the additional open records request. This is important to remember when we made the first request. Okay? So we made it in April 4th. You'll see that the following ones, because we were trying to pinpoint information that we wanted to get, spend the least amount of money, you'll see what happens. Magically, there is nothing to find.
So after we got this one thing to keep in mind, that text, it said there's our underground network. So we did a request that included Sue again, but some other key personnel to see. We're not going to identify them because that's not fair. But we did some others to see if we got anything. So Chris can share.
We asked for 8 employees of the school system's conversations. So those 8, and we asked for both school phone and personal phone. I believe probably all 8 of these have an assigned school phone. This is the response. Whole bunch of legal jargon here, why, when, what they have to
Get it on all of them.
what they have to redact, and this is the answer. Be advised that Pickens County BOE has no record in response to your request.
This is from Phil Landrum. So,
This
So
is,
basically, that means they wiped all their information off.
Yeah,
Not necessarily, because it simply means they're not going to comply with it.
right.
so this is one that we will present the names, because these are names that we know are involved.
it's the same one.
This is the same request that I made only this is before. So I've already gotten information from October to February 23rd. We're backdating it now, because we want to know how far back this plan was hatched. So this is asking from May 1st of 2020 to September 30th, 2020. So this would bring us to basically the time frame that Dr. Townsend was brought in to the time frame that I had first asked for the open records request, October of 2020. This is the response. Again, the same legal jargon on every one of them. Please be advised that Pickens County Board of Education has no records in response to your request.
So now, there's nothing magical about that October 1st date. That just, we tried to limit that first request when we got all the data. So we went back to go further back, and that's the response. There's no way I believe that information didn't exist at some point.
So the information was there, now it's not. We have 8 county phones that have been wiped of information. So this is kind of our summary of the problems for the system. Again, I brought up the SACs. Everybody recognizes the name SACs. It's actually Cognia. It's a separate entity now. It used to be SACs, and they had one for school boards and school systems, the K-12 system, and then they had a SACs, which was COC for the college accreditation. Now they've separated those out to 2 different ones, and Cognia simply does the K-12. The problem with the SACs is what we said in the meetings about how they discuss things with board personnel, discuss things with staff. That's not allowed. If they were to ask something of a staff member, they should have went through the superintendent. As you can guess, I'm pretty sure that Dr. Townsend was not telling them, yes, it's okay to discuss how to get rid of me. The State Attorney General has to deal with open meetings violations. So if there is an open meetings violation, that's who would investigate that and determine what the process would be with that. They also deal with the open records request. So, and then the PSC is the board that looks over anybody with a teaching certificate and accredits them. All 3 of these come this week, are getting all of this information sent to them, and we are requesting an investigation by each of these different entities.
And Chris, no, we've already been in touch with the Attorney General's office regarding some of this open records and sunshine law stuff.
We have talked with Cognia. Cognia is out of Alpharetta. Be pretty easy to drive over there and deliver all this stuff to them. We've discussed it with the PSC, and we've also talked to the Attorney General, the Assistant Attorney General, on a couple of different occasions. They're just waiting for our information to be handed out. So, actions taken?
Yeah, so the things we've already done, but guys, you want to turn the lights on? Can you turn it around? So,
Maybe blink your eyes.
listen, what do we do now?
Yeah, that's what I want to know.
So, but just know this, you know what? The $420,000 was egregious. That was terrible. But you know what? When I seen this, it's worse than that. Guys, this is our now superintendent and school board chair who openly deceived, lied, manipulated, and these are the people that are supposed to lead my children. I say, no way. They have to go.
Yes.
And they have to go quickly. I wanted them to step down all along, so I made the call again. All 3 of them. Holland, Finley, Smith need to step down, and now Tony Young needs to go too. Our superintendent must step down. They've discredited themselves. All of them. They've disqualified themselves from leadership. They all must go. So what we need to do, we need to all call, we need to email, we don't need to let up until they leave. Because I don't want to go through a court battle. Because if I will, we're gonna keep doing that, but I want them to go now because I don't trust what they're doing, anything. The other thing, talking to guys, imagine, you realize the culture we've created in our school system? If we can have people who can take our superintendent and get rid of him like this, we've created a culture of fear within our system of people cannot be honest. And I want school personnel to know, if you are afraid to speak up, I hope you will come forward and say something, because we're going to have your back. The community's not going to let that happen. So please, you can't continue to do that. We've got to speak up, and we've got to move forward. You know, you've seen it. The plan was all along what we suspected. Carlton Wilson was to be brought back. Our superintendent was complicit in getting rid of Dr. Townsend. I mean, here's what I thought about it. Anybody who wants to stand beside this group and support what these people done with this kind of lies, treachery, and deception, then you're an enemy of our kids and our schools. If there's anybody that wants to sit here and defend this kind of behavior, then you're an enemy of our schools and our kids and our community. And so my hope is that some of these people that are involved in the school system, I don't know if they knew how bad it really was, but some of the people that might have been complicit in this because they were afraid, I'm hoping they'll have enough character and integrity to step out. And I want somebody to start to sing and tell us what is going on inside the system. And we're not going to let up. And while you're in here tonight, guys, I got to say, listen, I've heard the joke. Wendy, my wife, served on the board. It's a very difficult job. It is. But you know what we've had a lot of people say? It's a thankless job. It is. It's a thankless job. And we say, no way I'm doing that. Well, this is what we get when we don't have people who with integrity and character who serve on our board, and we can never let it happen again, ever. Because it's not what's good for our community. So we've got to get rid of them, and it's not over until we get 3 other people that are qualified to sit in there and do what's best for our community. So the actions, as Chris said, we're going to make sure all 3 of these entities have this. One thing we can do, we can all file public service complaints against all 3 of those. Tony Young, Aaron Holland, and Sue Finley, they all hold certificates. We can file complaints against them. There's a form online to do it.
With Claudia?
We'll have the form on the group page.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the download section, everything will be there where they violate the whole first portion of the state model code of ethics is on board governance. Blowing it out of the water.
Oh yeah, everything.
What do you think, honestly? Like, I'm asking as a citizen, what do you, looking at what mentality they have about themselves, they are comfortable and confident that they are locked in tight and that they're untouchable. They are not going to willingly step
Well,
in.
that's why, Nancy, that's why we got this.
I know, but I just don't, I mean, I'm happy to email and call and phone, but it is not going to deter them because we're nothing to them.
Well,
They didn't-
it might not,
It's
but
gonna have to be court, and it's gonna have to be the Attorney General,
Well,
PSC, and SAC.
and we're going to keep
They're
pursuing
not
those
gonna
things.
listen to us
Let
because
me
we don't matter to them.
let me just say
And
something.
their web of corruption is so big. I
Exactly.
mean, you look at the attorney that's representing, it's all so big, it's no secret. where it
Listen,
goes.
hold on a minute. Here's the thing, guys. It's amazing that we got this information. I'm still shocked that I don't know. So you know what? The only way we got this information because they felt pressure somewhere that they had to release some of this some way. So I still believe if the cause is right and it's truth, there's a way to win. But it's going to take we the people, and we can't quit. I told them the day I went in there, I wouldn't quit. I'm not going to quit until they're gone. And it's going to take all of us doing what we need to do. And I'll say something, the court case, our lawyers moving forward with those, addressing those. Well, here's what I'd say that he's told me. The next process in that is a process of discovery. I really like my odds of discovery. Because knowing what I know already, I will be happy to enter in discovery where I can subpoena records and other things and ferret this out. So I won't stop. So they need to know they can go ahead and step down, or I believe it's good enough we may uncover something illegal who really does get them in trouble.
Amy, go ahead with your question so you can head the article.
Thank you. First of all, Dr. Campbell, I'm very sorry. I'm an eighth generation Pickens County person, and I'm gonna try to get through this without ruining my makeup. I apologize to you and your family. I have 5 children, 2 nieces, 2 nephews, and a son, 4 different schools. So I'd also like to say thank you for actually working while all of this, for lack of a better word, BS is going on.
Yes.
I appreciate that. I would like to ask if you will answer this question. When all of this went out, I'm a Facebooker, everyone knows that. Their kind of side of the story was an issue with a special ed bus issue, all of that. How did that turn out?
All I'm saying is, everything I did or advised was my book.
Okay.
Cadeau backed me up.
Department of Education. Okay.
Georgia Department of Education. I had a name, had an email. Everything was done correctly. There was nothing there.
Okay.
And I don't want to go deep into it.
Sure, no.
Yeah, but there was no cost. They said that from the beginning.
Right.
And that's what's disappointing with the whole process. And what you mentioned earlier, Steve, is even worse now. I mean, one, you start going into your wife and family. But 2, think about those staff members in the system.
Yes.
If that can happen, who's next?
Right.
Who's next? Well, you can't blame them. I mean, I want to stick up for them. I mean, you think about it, I got paid out, guys.
Right.
They had to honor my contract because that was the law. Because I was willing to go to court, I was going to fight. I was going to fight the right way. And I knew I was confident what was going to happen at the end. And they had to honor that contract. Teachers are under 1-year contracts. Most administrators are under 1-year contracts. So they have to be careful. So my only is be careful. I don't want to pressure them too much because we all have to do the right thing. And I know it sounds crazy me saying this, but they do. That's not a good feeling. And that's got to change. For Pickens County, this community is too good. Too many good people, too many good families. And the bottom line is, when you look at kids, kids are just kids. We're supposed to teach them. We're supposed to support the teachers in the classroom. And that's what you have to do. Everything else is secondary.
That's right.
You support the students, support the teachers. I'm secondary, you're secondary, no offense to parents, but you're secondary. Kids are instrumental. That's the key. Teachers have to be able to teach and get the resources to teach them. That's what we do. Our job is to support them. And they can't be worried about looking over their shoulder. They've got to worry about those kids in the classroom. Let me take the heat. If I get hit, I get hit. That's okay. Leave the teachers alone.
That's what we got rid of. You saw what we got.
Know what they.
Yeah, but what now in the meantime for our children? Do you know what I mean? Because there's not a single moment in any of that any of those board members or the assistant superintendent were concerned about the children. There's not an instant that is concerned of the children in this situation going on with COVID and school being out. So what now, while we're trying to get these people out, what now for the kids?
So I'll add to what their concern was. If you'll remember, we also had a vote on a e-SPLOS.
Yeah.
During the height of COVID, I have text that is the only thing that they are worried about is passing that e-SPLOS, getting more money.
Not the children or our.
Not anything about whatever else. They are slamming Dr. Townsend for not promoting. Now you gotta remember, he came in May. And we said, hey, by the way, not only are you new to this system, figure out this system, we have a pandemic going on, figure out how to educate our kids. But we also want you to go out and actively promote this e-SPLOS. And I'll tell you personally, I was spoke to at a meeting at Kiwanis by him presenting the information. He talked to several organizations, as much as he could. You gotta remember, it was a pandemic, most of it, everything was shut down. And they're giving him crap about that.
Did we know that we were gonna get that? Where did we get the money when you said we had gotten money? From CARES or from like the federal government?
So she's asking about, back to the slide of you.
Overall, a couple different things. You got some CARES money this year. There are some restrictions. You're supposed to use them for the students and everything else. But when you look at the big budget, you kind of plan for the future, kind of what's happening. So when you did plan the budget for this year now, you plan a few extra positions because you don't know what the pandemic was bringing us. It was an unknown at the time. Luckily, we brought the community in June, formulated a plan to start school. We all bought into it. Everybody was part of it, admin, teachers, parents, business leaders. And we jumped on it, and we followed that plan throughout. The budget was built to keep us going and support instruction in the classroom, support the teachers, support the kids. That's the way the budget was built. We put in there extra money for that. So when you look at our fund balance, it's good. Conservatively, we cut through attrition last year, where we didn't send people home or chop them or whatever else. If somebody left, we looked at it, and we really need this position. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, right? You got to watch your money. And with the unknown, we were very conservative. We're already conservative anyway. Amy's done a great job with finance. She's amazing. Great staff up there, folks. You may think I'm crazy for saying all this. I'm telling you, it's not everybody. I'm still worried about, people worried about, they're doing that to him. If I say something, I'm going out with it. That's what you have to worry about. So anyway, budget-wise, yes, you plan for it. It's a healthy budget. East Bluffs is essential. I was thankful, I'm still thankful, because I'm a taxpayer in Pickens County, that it passed. It helps, it really does. But when things like this happen, you do tend to lose confidence and things like that. Hopefully, long term, that can be straightened out. Yeah. I'm not sure how else to say it, but
Guys, I mean, the money's awful, what they did, but, I mean, it's really supposed to be about our kids. And these people, it's what I said all, these people are not about our kids. They're about serving their own personal agenda and putting their people into place. I've puzzled, I don't even understand it, why they're so gripped on holding power, because it's not about our kids. And so whatever it takes us to do, legally, ethically, morally, we need to get them out and go. And you know, I can't get this out of my head. You know, when the day on Monday that they put Tony in and they got rid of Dr. Townsend that Monday, you remember what Sue Finley said? In closing, I want to again mention that Mr. Young has reluctantly agreed to perform this job of interim superintendent. We were bold-faced lied to. A bold-faced lie.
Several times.
Several times.
What can we do now, Steve? What can we do now?
So what you need to do now is we need to engage. We really do need. They need to be phone called. We need to light them up. Phone calls, emails, everything. We need to do that. We need to file these PSC complaints. I mean, and then we need to put it out there, and we need to inform how bad this really is. We're going to put this out there. They need to get pressure from everywhere in the community. We're going to keep pursuing the legal thing.
When Cognia gets one complaint, they kind of go, okay. When they get 5 complaints, they go, When they get 20 complaints, they go, all right, there is no shadow of a doubt. There is an issue there, and we're going to come in.
Let me get this.
Imagine if they get
Yes, call, get stopped.
Because they filed legal action
How many they were allowed to do that?
That's part of the legal process, ma'am. That's how it works. They can do that.
I don't understand that. When you
Yeah.
have that, when we went through and signed it,
Right, so the 2 board members that we did it, Steve and Aaron, they can appeal the ground to the recall, which is what they did. And so now we have to go through the process and move past that. And unfortunately, anytime you get anything in the courts, I mean, it's a slow process. So we're still pursuing it.
and who's their attorney?
Their attorneys are the Weavers, George Weaver, both George Weavers.
And we're paying for them, right?
We better, I mean, no, they can't do that. They have to do that personally.
We were.
No, No, we better not be. That's supposed to be personal.
Double check, double check.
Brian, what did you have?
That, the PSCs, the Professional Standards Commission.
That's right.
I've been dealing with them on something separate from this. And I'm telling y'all, you can go to that website and it is super easy. They make everything. You don't have to print nothing out. You can fill it out on your computer, print it off. You have to mail it to them. It gives you an address in Atlanta because they want the actual copy. It is super easy. Please do it. And they will talk to you. I emailed the head of legal counsel down there Thursday. We changed emails 23 times. She answered me back every time I emailed her another question. Within 15 minutes, she emailed me back.
So
they're more than willing to help.
Okay. We'll post the links to all the forms, the link to the PSC complaint, everything. We'll have it on the page.
Ma'am?
I just want to say one thing. I have one son that graduated from the high school, and I have one that's scheduled to graduate. But I'm going to tell y'all, when my youngest was in kindergarten, and he'll deny it, and I don't care. But when my youngest was in kindergarten, and there's some people in this room that know my youngest son, he's diabetic. And I called because I was told by a member of this school system that if he was so bad diabetic, I needed to take my child and homeschool him. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I called the State Board of Education in Atlanta, and I said, can I legally be told this? And the question was asked of me, where does your son go to school? And I said, I can't tell you that. I'm scared of retribution. Oh, honey, they'll never know it. Okay. I was told, no, you can't be told legally that you need to homeschool your child. The next day, while I am sitting in the car rider line at Hill City Elementary, a school personnel walked to my car and said, Dr. Wilson would like to speak with you. I walked in his office, and because I believed him, I did not take anything to record or make him write anything down. And he said to me, Ms. Campbell, understand that if you complain on us, things tend to disappear and special education issues get dropped through the cracks and nothing happens for your child. Folks, I'm going to tell y'all, you probably already believe it, Carlton Wilson is running our school system today through Tony Young. I'm going to tell you. They've done it for years.
Well, that's why you got to go.
And I trust me, I have asked, everybody knows, I know Tucker well, and I asked Tucker, and when this all happened to Dr. Townsend, I said, all I ask is that you give my son's diploma to Dr. Townsend and have him sign it, because I will not accept a diploma signed by Carlton Wilson. Yep.
Thank you.
That's not right.
We got another question.
If Pickens County school system, does it continue to be the largest employer in the county?
I'm certain of that. I'm pretty sure of
So
that.
am I correct in assuming that the people who probably will have to carry the brunt of this are going to be the people who are not employed by the school system, or who do not have a family member dependent on the school system for their, benefits? It'll have to be someone that the school system cannot touch. So it's going to have to be those of us taxpayers that the school system cannot touch. They don't have a child that they can touch. They don't have somebody that's gainfully employed that can be hurt
I'm telling you right now,
by their willingness to take a stand.
I've got 5 kids in this school system, and I'll go on the record with Mary up here. If that's not being retribution to any of my children,
Or anybody else's.
or anybody
You
else.
know what, guys, we're going to have to hold people accountable that does not happen.
It will not.
I'm just saying, let's step into
that those of us who can make that stand to
Well, when I
take the
see
weight
this
off
is
our own
uneven
shoulders.
violence, I've thought about it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Well, Tom,
My question is, you've had these for a while, right?
Well, yeah.
You spent time going over, so
Yeah.
obviously you've had it for a little while.
Yeah.
To the best of your knowledge, because y'all would know, has Tucker, Tommy, or Aaron seen these?
we would assume they would know about it. It went through Phil Landrum.
I would assume.
I know, we've talked to Tucker and Tommy, they know we've got stuff.
Yeah.
Do they know what's in it?
No.
Do they
They
know
don't-
the underhand?
they're going to.
Does Aaron know what went on?
So, yeah, so here's another thing. So, all this is gonna be given to Tucker and Tommy, and here's the good thing, they can do something. They're gonna they have a place to leverage some of this now. We're giving all of this information to them.
Okay, got one more thing.
So just so y'all know, the board member can ask for instance, and correct me if I'm wrong, the board member could ask for unredacted, correct, Wendy? Because a board member has the ability to see that sensitive information because they have clearance to see that stuff.
If it's obtainable at this point, if it's already went off the phone, what you have is what you have.
So the funny thing is, if you want this, you can either download it tonight, or you can do an open records request for emails between Sue Finley and Phil Landrum and Sue Finley and Tony Young, because all these were forwarded from her email account to them. So these are still records. This is the only record that is still a record that's a record, because it was sent through email. So each one of these, I have to find one with it, but.
So they redacted your copy, not so much.
Correct. So it says, up at the top here, Pickens County School System Mail Forward, Tony Young, Part 6. So it went through the school system's email accounts. So you can get all of this, just like we did. You'd have to pay for it. It does cost to get this. So if some of y'all donate to us, this is what y'all were paying for. Y'all were paying for the attorney. Y'all were paying for all these open records requests. When they redact it and they do stuff like that, they charge us tons of money.
And how are you doing on that? Do you need more donations? Do
We will
need
let you,
more
we're
money?
going to at some point, particularly if we have to continue this legal fight.
Feel satisfied with what's happened with what's.
If they don't stand down, yes, we will need more money. But,
I need you
hey,
to do something.
what's that?
The piece of paper you had in front of you a while ago when you read that final statement about Tony being interim,
Yeah.
that day, at that meeting, and you were there, we were all there, most of us were there.
Yeah.
Okay, so they announced that he's gonna be interim, right? It's all over with, we're all standing around talking. This was a college professor of mine and a teacher for a lot of other people. So we walk up
He
to
was
him.
my classmate.
Yes, we walk up to him, speak to him, and in my heart, because I have a history with this man in college, I'm thinking he's a good man.
I understand.
Obviously, I knew nothing about any of this.
Sure.
This man had the audacity to stand there and tell her and I both, pray for my guidance. Pray for me and pray for my guidance.
Well, good. You know what? I think it takes people like you calling him out personally then.
Yeah.
Which is
Don't
what
you
I'm
just
going to
make
say
it
next.
It is so disheartening, you know?
Yeah. Who are you praying to, buddy?
And the call to action that Steve's talking about, that's the other thing I wanted to make sure to reiterate on. We, as a whole, and if you get mad, you just get mad at me, I don't care, you can tell me later. But we as a whole have a mega tendency to really get upset about something and then just let it go.
Oh, no, honey, I just
And
been
they
there for a long
understand.
time.
They know that, they understand that, it's a thing that's redundant, it's happening. They talk about it, whatever. So, what we have to do is, our next board meeting's coming up on, what day Wednesday? Is it, it's usually,
Second Thursday.
it's the second Thursday. So, it's coming up in just a couple of weeks. We have to be at the meetings. You have to pay attention to the information that's put out in front of you.
Can we wear crowns?
I think if everybody said TR should be.
But listen, here's what I say. Make sure, guys, we need to call on all of them to step down. Step down. We don't want them.
Can we present?
So, hey, that's it. We're happy to answer any questions personally if you want to. I don't want to hold people up. We're here. You can talk to us, if you need more information.
Yeah, we can share slides.
From us.
And Chris will make anything available, if you got thumb drive, and you need information. Oh, yeah. When you have to plug, you can, yeah.
I'll be at the car, honey. I called you back.
I want to know how to download it.
I said I could. It's like that. I never could find your, I woke up and I'm not.
Somebody else with a
Yours full. Yours full. Bring things to me. I can get out. You're right. But what she said, well, I looked and I tried to find something that I couldn't find anything.
So I can
No wonder I can't find That's the problem I have, it's like I'm not good enough to recreate. I can get somebody to recreate it, I mean, I can give you to a designer. They can recreate it.
Well, I can draw it.
Yeah, or I can scan it in, make it from that.
There's going to be an easy copy.
Okay.
All right, honey, thank you.
It was very interesting, very informative.
Oh, it's not. It's not. We are. It's not well, I don't think I was there too.
It's more of a symbolic stance to just recognize how everybody plays. It's got the ton of ethics, it's got all of our records playing, it's got all of the text messages.
Oh, no, no, well, I thought being
That's what I need. I got lip brushes, I got
What is going on? As of right now,